Golf Central on YouTube, brought to you by the Chrome Soft Golf Ball from Callaway.
I'm so pleased to be joined by Peter Gray, author of the beautiful and I have to say often very funny book, Golfing in the British Isles, the Weekend Warrior's Companion, with photography as well from Gary Lisbon. Peter, so good to see you. This book is a breath of fresh air. It is such a brilliant take on the most celebrated courses that the British Isles has to offer. Tell me, what made you want to create this book?
Honestly, I'm a lawyer, and I got sick. I got cancer, and I had to stop working. And I had long been thinking of writing my experiences in the British Isles for my kids and for my friends, who I'm always trying to entice to come over with me. But when I got sick, I wrote this book, and then when I was done with my treatment, or at the very end, I figured I needed a photographer if I was going to publish it. And I follow Gary Lisbon on Instagram, along with a lot of other people. I contacted him. He expressed, send me the manuscript, let me see it. And he loved it, and so we formed a partnership together. He's unbelievable, and when I told Triumph Books that I was, they wanted to know who my photographer would be. I said Gary, and they said, we love Gary. So,
Yeah, the images,
that's the story.
The photography and the images are just absolutely spectacular. The stories are brilliantly funny, and it's so informative as well. Now, I'm, of course, biased. I know exactly what the British Isles has to offer. But for you, as an American, what makes golf across Britain and Ireland so special and really worth the trip?
Well, as you know from my book's title, The Weekend Warrior, The Weekend Warrior's Guide, I'm an average golfer, and I maintain, I believe firmly that for people of my ability, I'm a 12 index, but even higher for sure. Links golf in particular is well suited. It gives us options. There's not a lot of forced carry water hazards. It's just plain fun. You're not going to lose a lot of balls. And so it just doesn't beat you up. It can, the weather can be tough, but I just love links golf. I also love the Heathland courses. I mean, every kind of golf, in England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, of course, is my number one. But it's just, it gives you, It is so much fun, and of course, playing over there, it's a cultural experience for an American. So a lot of Americans shy away from it. It's too far, it's too expensive, I'm not good enough, it's too much of a hassle, and it's none of those things. I mean, you can get. For an East Coast guy like me, I can get to Edinburgh and be playing St. Andrews in the afternoon. I'll go out Friday morning. I'm playing golf Saturday afternoon and on the old course, and I'm drinking in the Dunvegan that evening. So it's easy. And by contrast, going to Bandon Dunes, the only real, quote, links golf in the United States, is an all-day trek from the East Coast. So that's what I love about it.
Yeah, that's it. Hit the links at midday and finish up with a pint of Guinness and a haggis at 7 p.m. in the local pub. That's the way to do it. And Peter, you cover all of the main attractions. Many.
You have the haggis.
Yeah, up for debate for many people, actually. But a lot of the courses that you cover are on the open rotation. It's all the big ones, the Old Course, Royal Portrush, Royal Liverpool, so many of the great celebrated courses. But there are also some under-the-radar hidden gems that perhaps aren't quite as well known. Tell us about some of those.
Well, one of my favorite sort of hidden gem under the radar courses is on the island of Islay, which is in the Inner Hebrides. It's known for Scotch, but they have a absolutely fantastic golf course there called the Machrie, and it is one of those unsung beauties. Just right hard against the water. Almost every hole has a water view. They changed it up. It was a lot of blind shots, but the new guy who came in, DJ Russell, really did a magnificent job. And so you could play golf in the morning and go Scotch tasting in the afternoon. That's a really hard thing to beat. And the hotel there is first class, first rate. I'm just a real fan of that place. So I also love Shiskin, which is on the Isle of Arran, I believe. It's a 12-hole golf course, one of the most beautiful spots on the planet.
Yeah, it's so fun listening to you and your stories and your anecdotes, because that is one of the best parts of this book, is the little sort of insights that you give us into your own personal experience as a weekend warrior, because that makes you very relatable to the average golfer at home. Tell us about your experience playing the road hole at St Andrews, because I know that is one that you tell a lot, and it's a great story.
I've played the old course many times, but my favorite time was when I played with my son when he was 13, and I could still occasionally beat him. He's now a +3. He plays for Rutgers, or played for Rutgers. But, we were tied. Our match going into 17, the famous road hole. He blasted his drive down the middle. I was left, and the smart play there is when you're left in that rough, lay up. But, I'm Peter Gray. I didn't come here to lay up. So hit it over the green. I'm on the little gravel path behind the hole. And there's just no good way to get from there onto that little narrow green, which is fronted by a deep black hole, road hole bunker. And I took quite a few strokes getting up and down with a crowd gathering behind me, and more than a few groans. So that was the end of that match. Obviously my son won. I don't think I've beat him since.
When you say quite a few strokes, Peter, how many are we talking here?
I think it was I think I took an 8 on the hole. I was over in 2 and I took an 8. So with a 2-putt, so whatever that works out to. But, every club I tried was wrong. 8-iron, bump and run, putter, it just didn't work. Because it's a anxious shot. And then when you have the crowd watching you, it gets more intimidating, obviously, and more humiliating. More humiliating. The game got humiliation in it, obviously.
Much worse scores out there on the road hole than an 8. Let me tell you that. And just finally, your round at Lahinch. This one you may forget. Now tell us why.
I went to Lahinch. Landed in Shannon, went driving 2 hours to Lahinch down in Ireland. One of the most absolutely spectacular courses you'll ever play. No driving range, right to the first tee, and I shanked for 18 holes. And the next day, I figured, that's just, it was just driving, no driving range, tired. Played paid Tralee the next day, shanked for 18 more holes. And now I figure, I could turn into Charles Barkley. I could groove this shank, and this would just be the end of my life. But my colleagues essentially forced me to drink an entire bottle of Jameson. I passed out on the floor of the bar, and that was it. The curse had lifted. So it's a good story at the end. Not something I would encourage anybody to do, but shanks are bad.
Nothing makes you drink a whole bottle of Jameson quite like the shanks. Peter, thank you so much for joining us.
Say it.
No, this is such a wonderful book. I encourage everybody at home who's maybe thinking about a trip over to the British Isles to get your hands on it. And if not, the photography itself is just fantastic. So thank you for sharing your stories, and we appreciate your time, Peter.